Sauk Center is, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I still don't know where it is.
So it'd be like St. Cloud, Sauk Center, Alexandria,
Okay.
up on 94. So
So,
they,
my
yeah.
nephew has a winery in it.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, the shrine, I know which one that was, yeah.
A bunch of them up there.
All right, we'll call to order the March 4th, 2025 meeting of the Long Lake City Council at 6:36 PM, starting a couple minutes late tonight. All council members are present. Please, as item number 2, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, item 3 is mayor's comments, Long Lake News, meeting review and updates. Kind of like last time, fairly quiet time of the year, not a lot going on in the community last couple of weeks since our last meeting. One thing I'll bring attention to is just yesterday we had our city administrator and I had a meeting with our Metropolitan Council member, Dr. Tyrone Carter, who represents District 3, and he kind of did his annual visit to City Hall and check in with us to see what our concerns are, what our needs are, and we had a good conversation with him regarding the kind of the usual topics that's of concern to our city, which is, you know, sewer charges that we receive from the Met Council and comprehensive plan and how complicated that can be and time-consuming for a small city like ours and things along those lines. So we gave him some good feedback on that, and we appreciated his visit. So other than that, nothing too major to report. It's March, and it's snowing outside, it sounds like, so winter's not done yet. All right, item 4, approve this evening's agenda. I'll entertain a motion on that.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 5, consent agenda. Items A through D on the consent agenda tonight. Any questions for staff regarding those items? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda, including,
Thank you. Motion and a second. Excellent. Any further discussion? All right. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously again. Item 6, open correspondence. Open correspondence is an item on the agenda during which the public may address the city council. No formal action is taken by the city council, and comments should be limited to 5 minutes or less. And open correspondence comments may also be emailed to city staff by noon on the date of the meeting. Do we have anything emailed to us today?
I do not, thank you.
All right. Great. Well, then we'll move on to 7, regular business, 7A. Wayzata Police Department 2024 Year in Review Presentation. Interim Chief Jamie Baker. Welcome, Chief.
Thank you, Mayor and council members, for having me here this evening. I really enjoy that everybody thinks I'm so tall. Never happens before. So I just wanted to give you some quick highlights of a year in review of the Wayzata Police Department. So Jeanette, if you could hit the next one. As you see, this is our organizational chart. One person that I did not put in on here that is really big into helping our agency is our embedded social worker. She is through Hennepin County, so and we contract services with them. But I would include her on here. As you guys are all aware, the chief retired after over 2 decades of service in November, and I was very sad to see him go. Big shoes to fill. We did hire at the end of the year 2 new records techs that come to us with a lot of experience from other agencies. So I'm very grateful for them. If you could go, Jeanette. So we have a new officer that started in January of 2025. Some of you may know who he is. He worked at the Ace Hardware here in town. And the officers got to know him by stopping in there and actively recruited him. So he's worked out very well. His name is Owen Gardner. So his dad is a retired officer, so he has some experience in law enforcement also, knowing what it's like. So in 2025, coming up, we are doing a research on their drone program. This is in its infant stages. Drones are a huge assistance to law enforcement agencies. A lot of agencies have started to use them to actively do search and rescue along with our dog is kind of the idea of people that go missing and be able to locate them. They also help in crime scene reconstruction and accident reconstruction to get an overall view of a crime scene or a car accident easier than us plot mapping it out. It takes a lot less time. In 2024, we applied for IC Poet grant, which is intensive comprehensive police officer educational training program. It's for individuals that are interested in going into law enforcement as a second career. So they already have a degree in some other field, but they just need the skills portion. And so we applied for that grant and we were awarded that grant. So we're currently working and actively having a candidate go through the process, background process as a police officer. So they go through the same exact process as anybody else, but then they do the skills program and then they would be onboarded onto the Wayzata Police Department. Next slide, please. So this is the breakdown of the calls in for service over the past couple of years in Long Lake. As you can see, we were just over 1,600 calls for service last year. This is a breakdown of the different types of calls that we receive. And as you can see, we receive obviously anything from just theft from autos to assaults. Next, please. This is our traffic just specifically for Long Lake, the number of citations, written warnings, and verbals that we've done. The total was 760 traffic violations. So officers initiated 17 traffic details. And what that means is, you know, if they decide that they want to focus on a certain area, they'll pull a number and do like stop sign violations, watching for that. And they responded to 24 traffic complaints and then 103 spot checks, which means checking on businesses, checking on homes and that type of thing. Next. So in 2024, we were awarded by the Minnesota Chiefs of Police an award in excellent innovation with the first agency to ever have a search and rescue dog. And so Jason, I will give Sergeant Jason Gurman a lot of credit for that. He really has run with that, and that's really expanded. He does act as a liaison for law enforcement agencies that I'll bring out are requesting search and rescue dogs. It's a lot of work and a lot of energy and time that he does actually volunteer. So agencies will call him, and then he will coordinate not just his dog, but multiple dogs throughout the state and sometimes the region. And then, that's okay. So, and then one other thing that I'd like to highlight is that we did get one of our officers trained in drug recognition expert. So that usually takes place on traffic stops particularly, and so it's another way to do drug and alcohol impairment. It's becoming more and more prevalent, unfortunately, that there's a need for that. So that was all paid for actually through the state through another grant that we received. Do you guys have any questions?
Wow, that was
So
fast.
the crime has gone down a little bit since 2022, or 2023,
Correct.
but it is up a little bit more than it was in prior years.
Yes.
Can we go
Overall,
back
yes.
to that slide with the pie chart, so that one's, or, yeah, that one, okay, so.
Yep. So 2020, there's 200 less calls. So one thing I did not mention that I want to go back to is our embedded social worker. Like I said, she's a pivotal part of us. And so I don't have the numbers pulled out, but she did handle, specifically for Long Lake, but she did handle 170 cases of ours last year, and that includes both Wayzata and Long Lake. And so I can't speak enough about her helping us with repeat offenders and getting people the social services or mental health services that they need.
How's that deployment work?
Yeah,
So what happens is people will call or we'll get a call or something like that, and then myself and like a records techs or the officers will screen them, and then we send them to her. And once she gets them, then she's able to look at other systems and come up with a game plan to see Is it something that she can help them with, or are they already receiving services? And then make those phone calls and get that information to the person that's already receiving the services. So it's kind of like a backstop to make sure that people are getting what they need and following up, and the case managers are following up.
So does that person have a lot of calls to that address or something? Is that what kind of initiates the referral to the social worker?
It can, or it can be somebody that we just deal with one time and recognize by speaking with them that they would benefit from more services.
Okay.
So it varies. It depends on the type of situation. But yes and no is kind of, I know that's an odd answer, but if we go out and recognize that somebody, for instance, is elderly and they're not as mobile as they once were and that type of thing, and their mail is kind of
Piling up?
yep, we'll have her get involved, and sometimes she can get involved with, sometimes it's just relatives not being aware type of thing, so, yeah. So it can be one call or it can be numerous calls.
So in the pie chart there, so the biggest one is domestic violence calls. Is that have the right green there? The 20%, is that
Correct.
domestic?
Yes.
And oh, interesting. Okay. And then 17% DWI is the next one. Those are, all right. So theft is fairly low, and theft from vehicles is the black. That's like the 3%. And we get some residents contacting us about that.
Right.
And theft. All right.
A lot of theft from vehicles?
Theft from
No,
vehicle is like a
6%?
Yes.
of vehicle is 3%.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's a difference. Theft
Yeah.
of vehicle is a vehicle stolen. Theft from vehicle is the vehicle, something was taken out of the vehicle.
Sure.
So does that happen in a certain geographic area within the city? No, all over?
No, it doesn't. I mean, a lot of it, unfortunately, the environment, like this way society is, if you don't lock it, people are going into it. It's unfortunate, but.
Any
So-
tips when it comes to that?
Yes, so please, I know it sounds really silly, but please make sure you take all your valuables out of your car. People will take change, if there's a backpack left in, they will. If there's a backpack left in there, they'll open it up your car to see if there's a computer in there or what's in there, or clothes or anything. So it's very important that you take all your valuables out of your vehicle and make sure that you lock your car. It sounds silly, but with key fobs now, and people just leave them, I've been guilty of it myself. You just leave your key fob in your car, and then you walk away from it, and it's gonna remain open. So I'll admit it, I've left my own key fob in my garage, in my car, when I was taking groceries out one night, and it happens to all of us. But then they have, your car's gonna stay unlocked because your key fob's in it.
And close your garage door.
Close garage doors, yes.
Lock your garage,
Yes.
people door, and all that
Yeah,
kind of stuff.
yeah. Lock the
Kinda
garage
simple.
from your house to your garage, if it's an attached garage, make sure you do that. People will, if they can get into your garage, they'll go into your house when you're sleeping and not realize it. We haven't had any cases like that in town, knock on wood, but it does happen, so.
On your drone program, do you train your folks to fly them, or do you hire drone pilots, or how does that work?
So I should have had Travis here tonight because he's the one that could answer all these questions. But you have to have a pilot's license, an FAA license to do it, and it's a really rigorous test. And so 2 officers have gone through the class and have taken the test. So it's not just like fly a drone up like you see at the store. It's not that simple and easy. You do have to have tests and be federally compliant. So, yeah. So it will be officer based. It won't be civilian.
And then can you tell them a little about the flock camera program and how that's been successful, or?
Yes. So the flock program. Chief Schultz and I, or retired Chief Schultz and I, looked at it as a force multiplier. We've had several successful cases as far as it monitoring. Monitoring license plates. It does not track people or anything like that. It just tracks the license plates. And so it really has helped in the metro area to track people that have committed, or the car that people have been driving that have committed crimes around. I can't say enough good things about them. Officers are, if you have a stolen vehicle, officers are alerted right away. They get an alert on their cell phone and then can go out and look for the vehicle. You can enter a vehicle into the system if it's been a suspect in a crime. We actually solved an assault earlier this year using the flock camera system. So it does have its benefits, but I do want to make sure that everybody is aware it doesn't track people. It just tracks the license plate.
So does it do off the cameras, the traffic cameras?
No, it's a separate system. The company is called Flock.
Okay.
And that's a fixed location, or is that mobile in your vehicles?
It's a fixed location.
Fixed location,
Yep,
yeah.
they're fixed locations, yes.
And I think we have one so far in Long Lake, and the Wayzata Crime Prevention Coalition for 2025 is budgeted to have add a second flock camera to Long Lake using crime prevention funds, which is awesome. And City of Long Lake will need to pick up the tab in 2026 going forward for the annual, maintenance fees and that kind of thing. But I think the Wayzata Police Department's going to determine the best location for that. I think we have one now kind of on the east end of the city, and maybe look at some options in the west end. And it's a really good network of other police departments around us that also use flock cameras, right? So that's
Yes.
helpful.
Yes, it's actually a nationwide program. And so other agencies have had success finding vehicles in other states, actually. So I can't say enough good things about it.
Yeah, great. All right, any other questions for the chief? And let's talk just for a second about code enforcement. I think we have our CSO doing some occasional code enforcement in Long Lake and helping staff address some complaints we received about code enforcement. So as far as I know, that's been going well. That went well in 2024 as well, and still active, correct? Or
Correct. Yes.
good. We appreciate that. It's hard to get when we have a small staff, hard to have our folks go out and do code compliance and take pictures of yards and talk to homeowners and things like that. So I think that's been a successful program for dealing with animal complaints and other kind of nuisance type complaints.
Quite honestly, I believe that they take a uniform presence a lot more
Yes.
seriously than they do our code enforcement letters and calls, so thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
And just on a staff note, I just want to take a moment to say that it has been a pleasure working here with our interim chief, Baker. I've worked with you, of course, as deputy chief, and I've just found she's one of those people that when you make a call and leave a message, you know you're going to get a call back, and you know you're going to get one with an answer. And so I've just really appreciated her help, her flexibility in working with us, and often some time-sensitive special event stuff that comes up a little more last minute than we would like it to. I just am thrilled with the level of communication we've had, especially recently with the police department, and I've thoroughly enjoyed working with you, and I hope we get to call you by a different title soon.
Well, thank you, Jeanette. I really appreciate it. So, and I do love the community support. I cannot say enough good things about it. There's one Officer Josh Vogel really enjoys being over here and really enjoys this community. So, and like I said, he obviously by the smile on my face, he has nothing but great things to say. So he really enjoys it. So I appreciate everybody's support for the police department and all the good work that our officers do.
Great. Thanks for coming this evening. I know you got to get to a swearing-in ceremony for some firefighter. Why is that a firefighter? So.
Thank you very much. You guys have a good
Yes.
evening.
You too.
Be safe.
Chief.
Yes.
Okay, item 7B, 2025 Street Improvement Project, accept plans and specifications and authorize advertising for bids. Jeff, this must be you.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, it's a pleasure to be here tonight to talk to you about this project. As you know, it's located on Lindawood Lane, south of Wayzata Boulevard. You go to the next slide, please. Shown in the very eastern portion of town in red. Next slide. The scope of the project, we've determined that full depth pavement reclamation is the appropriate method to deal with the existing pavement conditions, which include cracking, loss of oils, scaling, potholes, and we've also got drainage issues present on the project, particularly in the low area about midpoint, adjacent to the city's sanitary sewer lift station. The bituminous curb there has been badly deteriorated over the years, and the culvert, the existing culvert that is in place, is in need of replacement, starting to fail. Next slide, please. Jumped ahead of myself. Full depth pavement reclamation is being recommended. It basically is pulverizing the existing pavement, mixing it together with the existing granular base. It's then shaped, graded, crown reestablished, and then paved over. Another item going on with the project is the cul-de-sac on the south end. The island in the center of the cul-de-sac is being removed in order to facilitate snow removal, emergency response, and to maintain drainage across the cul-de-sac in the existing condition that it is now. Finally, at the lift station in the low point, we're proposing to install some delineator curb, that's the drive-over curb, through there to help control the water, funnel it into the catch basins that are shown on the dark spots to the right of center on the screen. The lift station has got the arrow going down to it right kind of in the center. The culvert will be replaced, a manhole placed over it on the west curb line, and the new culvert will discharge in the same location as the existing culvert. We have been in contact with the builder and the property owner at 250 Lindawood. Their approved grading plan will be implemented with our assistance to get the drainage into the same drainage and utility easement that's there now, keep it away from the house, away from the neighbors, and move it towards the back of the lot where it flows off to the northeast. Next slide, please. Our opinion of probable cost for the project, including 5% contingencies and the indirect costs, is $288,763. Tonight is our approval of plans and specifications and authorizing bidding. Bid opening is scheduled for April 3rd, awarding the contract on April 15th. We anticipate beginning construction after school starts, so we don't have to deal with school buses coming to pick up students on the long cul-de-sac. And we're anticipating that the work will be substantially complete in early September. Last slide. That's it. Any questions you might have?
What does that road have for utilities? There's not much there.
Most of the utilities are overhead. There's gas main is there underground. CenterPoint Energy is planning on replacing the mains, making some new connections and partial replacement of services. I think there may be one or two services that need to be replaced up to the home, but otherwise they're going to be spliced down at the right-of-way line.
And then the sewer, there's a lift station, and that goes back through to.
Correct. It goes.
Yep.
Goes over to the west.
Yep. Okay.
Yep. There'd be no impact on that, and we're adjusting the top slab on the vault. It looks like it may have been hit by a snowplow or some piece of heavy equipment. That's a minor thing to do, but very, very minimal utility work.
Yeah.
Any sense about the contractors, what it's looking like this year as far as, just competition and prices and things like that for bidding?
We had a bid opening for another community this morning, and we had 5 bidders. It was in South Metro. The bids were very, very competitive, and looks like so far the construction prices are looking really good. There's a lot of people bidding really quick, so people are getting hungry to get the work that's available quickly. So we're excited about it. We're anticipating great results here.
Nice.
Scott, how's the pavement management plan funds for?
It should cover all this and still have extra. So, by time this starts rolling, by the time we pay, we're gonna get 3 or 4 more quarters, maybe not 3 or 4 quarters, but probably 2 or 3 quarters of more, franchise fees coming in, plus rent from the towers. So we'll be sitting pretty good. 'Cause I don't know if it was actually in here. If Mandy knew the balance, but I don't think she ever really told us.
I know the balance is upwards of 300,000. I remember her saying
Yeah.
the other day.
So like I said, at least we'll cover this project, and then we'll still get a couple more quarters in and monthly payments. So we'll pretty much replenish this almost by the end of the year.
Nice.
What
We've talked
percent-
about this one before.
Yes, this one was been talked about. It kind of got kicked, I think, out of last year's budget into this year's budget. So we've just been kind of getting to it where we need. So
I interrupted.
All right, if there's no other questions, entertain a motion on this one. I guess how about I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2025-07, approving the plans and specifications for the 2025 street improvement project and authorizing advertising for bids.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Great, thanks, Jeff, and
Thank you.
thanks for helping put together some information on that bonding bill request we did, and we've got that submitted to Representative Myers. I'm
Good.
suspicious that I'm expecting we're going to get back requests for more information and more details, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. And then was staff in conjunction with you going to update our pavement management sort of plan or our street condition map index thing, or?
I had discussions with Sean earlier today
Excellent.
about getting
Okay.
that started up, and I actually started the wheels turning for a cost estimate. I work with another community in Stearns County with about 60 miles of roadway, and it was a very, very low price for the amount of work and the volume of roadway, so I think you might be pleasantly surprised. I'm hoping so anyway, so.
Nice. Okay, I still want to find a way to address the Grand Avenue and Lakeview, and those roads are in really poor condition.
The offer still stands. If you need assistance with lobbying, I'd be happy to do so. I've lobbied successfully for a number of different projects, so
Huh.
both
sign them up.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
earmarked and budget or bonding bills, so.
Huh, I didn't know that. I don't know if I must have missed that. Okay. Great. Yeah, great. All right, great. Thank you, Jeff.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, item 8 already, other business. Around the table, Councilmember Newcomer.
Not a lot. Very end of last month, I attended the League of Minnesota training, which was very good, very informative. Sat with a number of our cohorts in Orono and had a great time getting to know them a little better. Yeah.
Great, glad you could attend that. It's always good training. Excellent, all right.
I learned what I don't know.
There's a lot
There's a lot there.
to learn that the average citizen doesn't know getting into this type of
Exactly.
position. Yes. Great, all right. Did they teach you what I and I is? Or no?
I learned a little bit. Yeah, I paid attention, especially during the budgeting part, which was basically a foreign language.
Right.
So that's going to require a little further in-depth investigation, I think. So.
Yes.
But I will compliment the League of Minnesota Cities. The presentation they put on was phenomenal. The speakers, the people, they do an outstanding job. And the repetitive theme on every speaker was reach out to us for anything they can help with. So I made mental note of that. They're a great resource, it sounds like, for everybody in the state. So.
Mm-hmm. You have a great League of Minnesota Cities, agreed. Great, good update, thanks. Councilmember Feldman?
I'm good, thank you.
All right, Councilmember Dybek.
I just have a question. I noticed that the fence that's at the top of the berm along Wayzata Boulevard by the lake there is, parts of it is falling apart again. And is that a MnDOT responsibility to maintain that?
The one on top of the berm?
Yeah.
Yes.
So can we have them relook at that?
I will say that I have an email stashed somewhere in my inbox from us messaging about those fences previously, and they do like to respond. If it's not a public safety hazard, we'll get to it.
Can I piggyback off, you're talking about this fence on the north side, but what about the fence on the south side?
I have already
No, I am
gotten
talking about the
complaints.
fence on the south, of the south side of Highway
Oh,
12.
no, along Orno Orchard.
Yeah.
Because my husband was saying,
I've received complaints about a number of sections of fence, and MnDOT is not
That's
super
a big
receptive.
wall, right? I mean,
yeah,
this is just, like a 8-foot or 6-foot, wood fence, but
Yeah, we can certainly, Scott, maybe we might have more success than I would putting it
Yeah,
on.
we'll see if we can't find that email.
kind of.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting, pretty ratty after 20 years, and, they've, done a few repairs a few years ago, but it's, and there's still the one over by Stone Ridge Circle at the bridge on the north side of Stone Ridge Circle. It looks like, I mean, it's a little scary looking. It's a huge crack, like in the concrete, and MnDOT's checked it out, and I guess it's
Not a safety issue.
That's the thing, is I did honestly, I actually had sent them photos that a resident had taken and forwarded to me of a section of, the fencing actually along the bypass, and just said that this is, really getting rather unfortunate appearing, and yeah, their response was, if it's not a public safety issue, it is not a priority.
right, more
They-
cosmetic.
To them, aesthetics is not.
it's not
priority.
aesthetics,
Public safety is.
it's a part of the,
I,
the
Function.
sound barrier
I
and,
understand that,
yeah.
and that's how we feel. They didn't seem to treat it with the same attention.
Well,
But possibly that messaging coming from a city administrator versus a city clerk might carry a different level. of
But I mean, they put it up, so, I mean, it's not like we put it up and we're asking them to take care of it. They put it up, they should maintain it.
It was a very disappointing response.
Yeah.
And I was very disappointed when I replied.
Well, he's probably a little busy right now, but maybe somebody from our state representative, Andrew Myers or something, can reach out to MnDOT and apply some pressure with that, so maybe we can put something together and send it to him, and be happy to send it if you put something together for me or whatever, and try to
that'd be
apply
good.
some pressure that way.
That's all I
That's a
had.
good one. All right, I do not have anything else to add, just we continue to have good discussions with Representative from Orno regarding fire department matters, and meeting almost twice a week now, and we, with them, and we met with, we gave an update to the firefighters last night, at kind of an impromptu, relatively impromptu thing. We gave an update to the membership, and it was myself and Mayor Tunheim and Councilmember Persian, Councilmember Divik got there at the very end, had a commitment. Like I said, it was a last minute deal, but overall I think went over well, positive, just a very high level update, letting them know that things are, we have a good relationship going, good discussions going, we're moving everybody's moving the right direction, that sort of thing. So I think that I heard from Chief Highland that the firefighters appreciated hearing that from us last night, so that was good. So that is it for me. That's my
Just
quality.
looking at upcoming meetings and other dates of note. So on Tuesday, March 18th, we have a council meeting, but are we having a work session or anything, or is that a TBD?
TBD.
Okay,
Yeah, it could be that we have another closed session that
Okay.
evening, and we'll have to see how that plays out,
We
right?
are remaining a little flexible there, given time-sensitive matters going on.
Right. But no EDA meetings planned as of now for,
None
No,
that are
okay.
necessary, and I would say if it came down to a choice between an EDA and a necessary fire-related meeting, I think we know what the priority is currently, so
right, right,
we're just leaving room to prioritize that.
great. All right, thanks. Scott?
I don't have anything.
All right. Jeanette, anything else?
Related to that, little, subject raising of the EDA, I was actually going to do it today, and then given the weather, I just couldn't. I was going to put out a little piece on Facebook about marketing our mobile food unit policy, and just trying to circulate a little bit of word of mouth about that concept. But then I took a look at the weather, and I just didn't have the heart to do it today. Just in case that lot was about to be used for snow storage. So I didn't quite have the heart today, but you will see some sort of message out and about on our Facebook page about that in the not so far away future. Also, one other thing came up, and I haven't discussed this with our planning consultant, but I feel fairly certain she would be on board with it. We have an interesting regulation in our fence-related code that business fences are allowed to tie together with written permission from area property owners, but residential fences are not. And so what we have is this requirement that all residential fences have to be set back at least 1 foot from your property line, which, of course, when you have two neighbors who want to put up a fence and they would really like to just have one fence line in between them, and without a mowing situation, what they have to have right now is 2 fence lines. But it is not unusual for communities to allow tie-in fences, with property owner acquiescence in some sort of written form. We allow it for the businesses. I have a request from a resident to tee up the subject idea for once and for all about allowing it for residences as well. And if the council has no objection to that, I'm interested in pursuing that. It seems like it would be a pretty quick change to make.
I certainly wouldn't have any, having just recently paid to have somebody put in a fence and find that it had big gaps between myself. I was like, what? I didn't quite understand that, so.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's, again, I think probably most communities allow tie-in fences, and this is an old regulation that could be updated.
Can I ask you a question? Was there any reason why? I'm just curious why.
Hatfields and McCoys.
Okay, because there was no safety thing or something?
It's basically under the principle of your fence is 100% on your property, and there can be no argument if it looks in any state of disrepair whose responsibility that will be. But a fence has to be up usually for quite a long time before that kind of condition occurs. Right now, as it stands, you could have 2 fences that
So you
look
could
in that condition.
You have
that
2
are
fences,
2 feet apart.
2 feet apart, and then you have no man's land of mowing it.
Exactly. And everybody's responsible to mow their foot. So it's a little awkward.
Last I checked my mowers.
And so you could address that in the code, like both will be fined or something like that if the fence is, I don't know if it becomes an
Or it
eyesore.
could be if 2 owners agreed to it and then somebody moved in and said, I don't want a fence, and then maintain it.
Yeah.
Easy transition
Honestly,
ownership, weird.
at the end of the day, some of those things are not things you need to address in code. Those are just private property owner disputes. They're between the property owners. It is not our job to get involved in those disagreements. But we definitely have a lot more people saying this fencing law makes no sense than we do people saying, help us in this fence argument. So,
I'd say in the space of things that don't make sense, let's do the thing that makes the most sense.
Yes.
yes.
Write that quote down.
And distribute it.
Wisdom.
There you go.
So
Sounds
with
good.
no objection there, I probably will tee that up with Hannah to make sure she has no objection, and probably just prep that myself for her review and sign off. But yeah, I'd
Great.
like to get something done there.
Great, that sounds good, thank you.
That's one of those more resident-driven requests.
All right, last call. Otherwise, next meeting on Tuesday, March 18th. Everybody think they're gonna be here for the most part? We'll have a quorum, spring break trips or anything?
Yeah, the first week of April, I'm out. So,
Okay, so you missed that
So
Tuesday.
April 1st?
yeah, is that the first Tuesday? Okay, yeah.
Yep. All right, sounds good. If there's no objection, I'll adjourn the meeting by general consent. Hearing none, meeting's adjourned at 7:15.
Wow, that's a little different than the last meeting we had.
Last night I got my first night of sleep.
Everybody must be full and tired.
Really?
I was at 6, and I was just wake up.
There's